Then you have the medieval age between the 5th and 14th century. The beginning of the medieval age is characterized by the collapse of the Roman Empire. So when this empire collapsed, you have what we call one of the first instances of deglobalization, where the long trade, sort of like long distance trade collapsed, and many of the trade routes were basically abandoned. All right? It was only revived in the 8th century with the Muslim military expansion. All right? And also, it also thrived during the Mongolian rule beginning in the 13th century. During this particular period, we also begin to see the emergence of major Italian cities in this global commerce. So this is some of the medieval trade. You know the famous Silk Road that connects China all the way to Europe. All right. There is also the Eurasian steppe route that goes through the Mongolian desert. So there are two major routes during this particular medieval era. All right, and this would be not. The trade was not only confined to to people between China and Europe. If you look at Southeast Asia, all right, even during this period in the 14th century, you had significant trade between China and some of the countries in Southeast Asia and Asia, for example. All right? And this is a trade route that shows the trade route that are undertaken by two major countries, Genoa and Venice. All right? You can see the rivalry between two countries during this period in terms of their trade in Europe, for example. All right? So in the Renaissance period, between the 14th and 17th century, all right, the Italian trade dominance began to end with the advance in maritime technology and the circumnavigation of the Cape of Good Hope by the Portuguese. You can see the map later. Then you have 16th century, another kind of globalization, economic globalization in the form of Spanish conquest and colonization by the conquistadors when they invaded and toppled the Aztec Empire in Mexico and the Incas in Peru, for example, right? In which they plundered and got lots of precious metal, for example, silver and gold from these empires, all right? And of course, the dominance of Portugal didn't last long. War was one of the factors, the War of Succession, which weakened it, which provided space for the incursion by the Dutch and English, the emerging new empires into the former Portuguese trade territories. Right? For example, if you look at Malacca, which is one of the trading state nation that's located in Malaysia, right? It was founded and then it was conquered by the Portuguese in 1511, right? And then when Portuguese weakened, it was then taken away by the Dutch and then later on by the English. So through three successive imperial power. And also in the 17th century, you also see the emergence of the first kind of multinational companies, which is in the form of the East India companies by the Dutch as well as the English, right? Which two countries become really rival nations.